What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of Holding Court here on the First State Hoops Report YouTube channel. I am, of course, First State Hoops Report founding editor Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. Hopefully, you're staying warm because, we've got an interesting forecast coming up this week. If you missed, we had an interesting forecast this week just finished. Of course, we had a monsoon on Tuesday. Then, or was it Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember whatever day it was. Whatever day it was something that nobody expected. Rain and winds. You get that a lot, regardless of what time it is, what time of year it is. But this one did some damage. Like AI DuPont, I know AI DuPont's principal, Marty Cressy. He follows the First Day Hoops Report IG feed, and I see his tweets. Not his tweets, his posts on Instagram about the situation. AI didn't have power until Friday. So again, I said this on the live. Dealing with Delmarva Power. That's what it is. But it's been an interesting week on the basketball side. My travels this week were just Friday because I knew that I made it my business to see McKean in Glasgow because I've been talking about McKean nonstop on this particular channel. And people, that saw me updating all our social media feeds about that particular game, they caught up to me at because I went to Sally's Pen because I live right down the block from Sally's. It would have been pointless for me to just punt on seeing a rematch of the state championship game from a year ago. So I was like, all right, let me park my car, come in my house real quick, do what I need to do, and just take my my bag with my camera in it, and just walk on down the block. Really that simple. And folks that saw me updating the game were like, so what's your honest opinion about McKean? And I want to be very clear about this. People seem to think that, first of all, people ask me my opinion, like, wow, my opinion. Well, now. But seriously, yeah. Either way, there's a lot to like about that team. No, they're not going to overwhelm you with size. I think their tallest player might be 6'3", but their guards, they have a 3-guard rotation that's really, really dangerous. Stephon Stewart, he's the lightning rod. He can get to the basket and, kick out the guys. Same for JoJo Malavolta, and Lenar Anderson, who can make the outside shots. It was very interesting to see that how that game with Glasgow ended up going Friday night, because Glasgow jumped out to a 12-5 lead, and I thought, okay, maybe this might not be going McKean's way, but they ended up scoring the last 8 points of the first quarter. I was like, okay, we got a game here. And then, second quarter, third quarter, they just turned on the Jets. It was Stewart going to the basket. It was Malavolta passing off to different guys. Anderson making the shots when he didn't even make the shots. And McKean had foul trouble most of that night. One kid got ejected. Another Malavolta fouled out on a technical foul, actually, protesting his fourth foul, which I found to be a little dubious at best. But, we don't like to, insult officials on this particular podcast. #StopRefAbuse. But I just thought that was a very interesting call to make when the kid was just expressing frustration. He wasn't disrespectful. He wasn't bumping the referee in the chest. He was just like, me. And the ref was like, okay. And a couple other kids, Stewart had 4 fouls, another starter had 4 fouls, and somehow McKean was able to stem the tide, hold firm, hold steady, and they're 9-1 now. I'm not going to do the math, but it's more than I think it's probably a 450% win increase from 2022-23. So once again, Stephon Johnson and his staff doing a wonderful job. McKean and Dickinson are the last 2 unbeatens in Flight B for boys. When's the last time you could say that? Probably the 60s, maybe. Because Howard. Let's see. Just for history's sake, because of course I'm a historian, and you get a history lesson whenever you turn into Holding Court, because history to me is important. You don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. So McKean and Dickinson were kind of like the lightning rods for the Flight B in the 60s. Howard had a good run most of the 70s. Wilmington High was in Flight A for most of the 70s. They ended up coming back down to Flight B in the 80s. Actually, they were always Flight A up until the 80s when desegregation really hit. So, yeah, you could say McKean and Dickinson were in the 60s. Howard were in the 70s. Wilmington High and Howard kind of traded off in the 80s. Howard and Hodson traded off in the 90s for the most part. 2000s, it was all Hodson. 2010s, it was all Hodson, and for the most part. And 2020s now has been all Howard. So, yeah, Dickinson and McKean have not had the best of luck recently, even though Dickinson did win Flight B in 2020 and made it to the quarterfinals for the first time in 30-something years. So McKean and Dickinson, being the top of Flight B, I don't think anybody had that coming. But this is going to be a year where you'll probably get at least one or two surprises in the boys tournament. Like I'm confident in saying that the Final Four that most of us are picking may not happen. One of these teams is going to fall victim to one of these other schools that are like flying under the radar. Like Smyrna is playing really well. Cesar Rodney, even though they lost to Smyrna last night, is playing really well. Howard, if they can get their youngins up to speed, because it doesn't look like, they're going to get RJ Matthews back. I mean, again, I'm not, RJ or Rasan Matthews Sr. I don't know, what the thinking is. But again, if they're over them, this young man has a chance at Division I college scholarship as a quarterback for football. And hey, basketball, it's a good sport, but when you have football money coming, why bother? that's my opinion on the matter. But yeah, Howard, I mean, they just have some youngins right now that just need to kind of, build some chemistry, get, follow Coach Matthews' game plan a little more closely. I mean, they're not a bad team. I mean, I'm seeing Glasgow. I mean, I'm not saying Glasgow's a bad team either, but I was surprised that Howard lost to them after seeing Glasgow. But I think that's more about how much better McKean is this year. So everyone's like, Chris, what is your unbiased, not politically correct opinion about McKean? They're a good basketball team. It's really that simple. I mean, you still have to play who's in front of you. Doesn't matter who it is. I mean, Sally's will tell you that. I mean, they've had leads at DeMatha. They got their doors blown up by Archbishop Wood. They lost at the buzzer to Newman Goretti. They lost to St. E's this last weekend. They beat William Penn Friday night. That's the way the game works, man. You can always say that there's going to be some teams that are better than the others, and there's no shame in that because the truth is the truth. But at the same time, there's so much. I mean, it's not a great deal of parity, but it's enough to make you wonder which team could be the surprise of 2024, or which teams could be the surprise of 2024. Because there's a lot of lurkers out there. Oh my God, I forgot Lake Forest. So there's Lake Forest. There's Smyrna, there's Cesar Rodney, there's McKean. Howard, even though they made the Final Four the last 2 years, people are kind of like, wow, is this the year it finally stops for them? We'll have to wait and see. St. Mark's, you can't forget about St. Mark's. There's a lot of talent, or there's a lot of, equal basketball being played up and down the state on the boys' side. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the Final Four that I picked on the live stream earlier this week is going to be the Final Four that we see that first Thursday in March. It could be. It could not be. It really depends. It really depends. As far as this, the Salesian William Penn game went last night, you may remember a certain First Day Hoops Report editor said on the post-game show after that game that a certain number 11 for the Salesian Gents needed to look for his shot more. Well, that certain number 11 scored 12 points in the third quarter, and that turned out to swing the game in Sal's favor. And, of course, that's Isaiah Henson. I've always thought, I've always liked his progression because as a freshman, you could tell he was kind of like overwhelmed slightly. I mean, he belonged on the floor, but it was something like confidence thing that he didn't belong. Sophomore and junior year, he just had all the confidence. And the first time seeing him against St. E's, I was like, wow, something's off. I was like, maybe he just needs to, get in the rhythm, to get his shot going. And sure enough, he found the right time to do it. He took over that third quarter against William Penn, and Kareem Thomas played a superb all-around game because Kareem, just played a strong 4 quarters, and then Isaiah coming alive in the third quarter, pretty much got Sal's over the hump. Still like that William Penn team too. I mean, Emmanuel Vaughn, once again, I asked Mike Lang last night of the dialogue at 302 Sports. I was like, you think Emmanuel's 6'3"? And Mike and I are not the tallest of gentlemen. I'm a little taller than Mike. I mean, no disrespect to Mike Lang, obviously, but we just kind of looked at him and said, okay, we'll give him 6'3". So yeah, but he played very well last night. Jalen Samuel made a couple long shots. Elam McCoy was a really strong point guard reserve off the bench. I know Mahari Campbell starts, and they have a nice rotation of guards that are scrap, that are in the Gary Lumpkin mode, that they're scrappy. They can run the team, they can run the offense, and they can make a shot when they need to. So feels like that William Penn team is still going to be one of the ones to be heard from, not just in Flight A, but in general. So those were my travels this week. Those are the two games that I went to, and those were the two games that I felt like had the most significant impact, for what First State Hoops Report is trying to do, and that's give light to everybody. I didn't do any girls games this week because it's probably going to be a girls heavy week for me next week. I will be watching AI Ursuline girls on MLK Day. So that might be the last game we get in for a couple of days because we got rain last week and we're supposed to get snow Monday night going into Tuesday. Frozen ice, raindrops frozen into ice crystals. I shall harness their energy and rule the world. That type of thing. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a good snow around here in God knows how long. Shouts out to global warming and climate change. But yeah, if it snows like it's supposed to Monday night going into Tuesday, I imagine they're going to postpone Tuesday's games. So these teams are going to really be playing it's not going to be a marathon anymore. It's going to be a sprint the last month of the season because, if there's enough rain, and I've seen people complain about the games being postponed because of rain. Like, we haven't learned anything from the pandemic about slowing down and just taking a beat to breathe. And this is just my opinion. I mean, you don't have to like it. You can fast forward. You can click off the YouTube channel. Doesn't matter to me. But we really didn't learn anything from hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people dying from a respiratory infection because nobody took it seriously enough. I mean, people were really offended and upset that they couldn't, that everything was closed down or they had to wear a mask to go in places. And, people haven't learned. People haven't learned from that. Because, as rainy and windy as it was that particular night, like literally, I could watch the cars on my block parked, swaying a little bit. Like, it was pretty much it was a tropical storm in January, for crying out loud. And, you don't want people on the road when it's rainy and it's windy. And unpopular opinion, people in Delaware can't drive to save their lives. You can't. Y'all are the worst drivers I've ever seen. And I've lived here my entire life. I mean, the only worst drivers in Delaware drivers are the people that come over from Jersey, Southern Pennsylvania, and the Eastern Shore of Maryland and do their tax-free shopping because they don't know their way around. But let me remind y'all, Delaware goes in two directions, up and down. There's a 2-hour drive from Claymont to Georgetown or Delmar. Pick a direction. You only need two. It's that simple. But yeah, that being said, why would you want to risk, young people traveling in these conditions? I mean, yes, bus drivers are probably the safest drivers on the road, but that doesn't mean that a bus can't tip, a bus can't sway, or a tire can't slide, or hydroplane. It's safety first. I mean, precious cargo. I mean, I never forget, I crashed my mom's car in college. Personal story time with Chris Stevens. Okay. I was home on Christmas break from Delaware State, and my mom loved this car. She had a 96 Corsica, and she let me drive it. And I used to go to Burger King a lot because this was before I discovered that I could make my own food. And I was rushing to get back home because me and my sister had a little feud at the time, and I didn't want to pick her up from work. I didn't want to talk to her. So my mom was like, if you can get back in time for me to go get your sister, you can go to Burger King. So I was speeding like all get out. This was Governor Prince. Like, that turn on Governor Prince that, is before the 7-Eleven. All my people in Wilmington and North Wilmington, you know what I'm talking about. I hit that turn so fast that I banged into the curb and bent the tire into the wheel well. And I literally drove that car home, cat a corner. I never forget this dude in a brand new Cadillac. When you're 20, 21 years old, and you done wrecked your mom's car, and some dude in a Cadillac with a bunch of fine women in the car. I don't know if he was a negotiator of services or not, but he just looked at me on East 13th Street. He's like, "Yo, bro, you all right?" This is me. Man, I'm cool. He's like, "All right." He's like, all right, man, be safe. Yeah, man, I'll be safe. And I drove the car home, and instead of telling my mom what I did, I ran to my grandmother's high rise. She lived in Windsor Towers at the time. We lived over East Side. My mom was on East 8th Street. Windsor Tower, of course, is on Walnut Street. So I dropped the keys in the car. I dropped the keys to the car off on the couch, and I jet to Windsor because I know my grandma got my back, right? And my mom calls my grandma's house, and she is heated. and my grandma, she didn't play that. I mean, God rest her soul. I mean, my family probably would hate to say it, but I was the favorite. And she said, "You're not gonna cuss this boy out. You're gonna relax." And I was like, "This is the kind of stuff that only an 80-year-old woman could say to her grown daughter after her 21-year-old son just absolutely wrecked her car." But the point I'm trying to make is, my mom said, "Yes, I'm salty about the car, but I can always get another car. I can't get another you." So that's why I don't have a problem with, postponing games for inclement weather, whether it's rain or snow, because it's crazy out here. I mean, shouts out to the great, people of Del Dot. They do the best they can, but the infrastructure around here still needs a ton of work, regardless of where you are. And, you just don't want to risk it. With 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, you just don't. You just don't. So people complaining about the games being postponed, that dog won't hunt with me, because I'd rather have all of us being safe than all of us risking getting ourselves and other people hurt just to go watch a basketball game. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, yeah, we got rain last week. We're supposed to get snow on Tuesday. It's supposed to snow again, actually, on Friday. So this might be one of those seasons where either a team is ending up playing 3 games in 3 nights, or somebody's going to end up missing a game because it's too late in the season to make it up. So just be mindful of that when we start talking about, like tournament seedings and different things of that nature. You can also be mindful of that because so many of these teams, Delaware teams have played teams from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, of course, the DMV. The DMV is probably going to get some snow as well. So a lot of these teams are probably going to have postponed games out of state as well. So just be mindful of that, when you are thinking about tournament seedings, whether your team has a chance to make tournament or not, because we're going to do the best we can with 24 and more. And the only thing that is going to throw me off about 24 and more is these out-of-state schools are just as, inconsistent, we'll say, with posting box scores as some of our local, I'm just saying. I mean, I know teachers and coaches, y'all are pulling double duty. Y'all are busy people, but please, I'm begging you from the depths of my soul, please find a kid or, a hungry intern that wants to coach or be an athletic administrator to please fill in the box scores. It would help us out so much when we do all state and everything. I know, just like I said, help us help y'all. That's really all it boils down to. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. I want to talk about some girls really quickly before I sign off and get ready for NFL Sunday. I mean, wow, we're talking about snow. I mean, the Chiefs and the Dolphins played in sub-zero temperatures. And granted, as a teenager, playing football in the snow and cold seemed fun. But as a grown adult, no. So shouts out to the NFL for actually exercising some common sense and postponing the Buffalo-Pittsburgh game to Monday afternoon, rather. So, yeah. That being said, I want to talk about some girls really quickly. Once again, AI, they get their biggest test of the season when they go play Ursuline on Monday. I will be at that one. Very much looking forward to seeing how those guards match, how Sydney Hilliard, Amani Bryce, and Nyjah Jackson match up with Gigi, Taylor, Skylar Bolden, and all of them. That game should be interesting. It's going to tell you a lot, not just about AI DuPont, but it's going to tell you a lot about Ursuline too. Because Ursuline's played a lot of lead dogs. I mean, they took it to Pikesville, who was a Maryland, I think, state semifinalist last year. And in Maryland, they got a lot more schools. So for Maryland's and a lot more subdivisions and regions. And so for Ursuline to be the Maryland school that made it to a Final Four, it's pretty doggone good. But yeah, we're going to see how they fare against the team that probably is coming in with a lot to prove. Lucky Price's girls are coming in probably with a chip on their shoulder, because I'll say this about the rankings. They like a lot of people, and this is, again, some people take these rankings far too seriously, but I know some people feel that AI is underranked by one organization. Some people think AI is overranked by another organization. But either way, that team has a lot to prove, and they're going to do it against the team that is right now the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. And we can't, as much as and again, Ursuline, they are number one. Make no mistake about it, they are number one. But Caravel right now is playing some really good basketball as well under Larry Banks. He's got a 4-guard rotation that would be like lead alpha girl, first team all-state material if they all split up and went to different schools. Like, you've got Josiah Crawford, you've got Anaya Price, you've got Speedy Wilson, you've got Cherish Bryant. Like, Cherish helped engineer Tatnall to their first Final Four in their school history. Speedy was all conference her 1 year at St. George's. Josiah was a bucket at Christiana before she became, more of a team concept oriented point guard when she got to Caravel, because Indian Johnson was taking the shots. And Anaya Price is, a knockdown shooter. You split those 4 girls up, you put them on different teams, then they're that team's best player and they're first team all-state material. Like I said, it's going to be tough voting for them because they're all going to split votes. But Caravel's playing well, Sanford's playing well. Padua, I kind of, slipped them under the radar a little bit. But right now, they just beat St. Mark's the other day. Denise Igo-Sackett, former program legend, she's doing a good job over there. And it's interesting to see how a coaching change can be good for the attitude and, confidence of a program. No tea, no shade, but I'm just saying, Padua is one of those schools that was dominant in girls basketball when I was a pup. People, complain about private schools winning. And granted, I've talked about why private schools have taken over all sports because, of the lack of care for public education here in the city of Wilmington and the state of Delaware. But girls basketball was always a private school thing. Like, Ursuline won back-to-back championships the two of the first 3 years they had a tournament. Padua won back-to-back in the 80s. St. Mark's under John Fiorelli won 6 times in about 8 or 9 years. So, it's always been a private school thing. And Padua was really, really good, for a long time until they weren't, which was a surprise, And now that, they're starting to get, a little bit of that momentum back. So it's going to be interesting. The girls' tournament, it may not be as wide open to upsets and surprises as the boys might be, but it's still going to be some interest. It's going to be some intrigue. Like, we've got Ursuline, we've got Caravel, we've got St. Elizabeth playing good basketball, we've got Sanford playing good basketball, St. Mark's and Padua, AI DuPont, Delaware Military Academy, they're playing good basketball. St. Mark's and DMA playing on Tuesday. This is going to be the toughest week I've had to schedule in a long time, and I'll tell you why. Outside of Ursuline and AI being the only thing on Monday, Tuesday girls, St. Mark's versus DMA. Early College versus Woodbridge. I really want to see Early College badly. Like, who else? I think Howard Archmere girls is also on Tuesday the 16th. And on the boys' side, Lake Forest goes down to Seaford, Battle of the Unbeatens. Bruce Wayne asked me that I want to ride down with him. I was like, I could. I told him my car was having issues, but I got to be honest. I'm just not driving to Seaford. I can't right now. The way my car is working, and the way, I have to be a little bit more available for my day job than I planned on, which is fine because it's my dream job. This is my legit dream job that I'm doing right now with HBCU sports. But can't drive to Seaford. It's just not something that I'm going to be able to, parcel out and be, legitimately. I just can't drive to Seaford. I'm sorry. Howard, Salesian boys. Sean Green wanted me to be on the call for WDEL. And I had to turn it down. Oh, my God, I had to turn it down because I have to pick a girls' game no matter what. Because I have to give as much coverage to the girls as I do to the boys because it's right. It's the only thing that's right. It's quality. And, having an all-state vote, you got to see as many teams as you can. Because, you want to be able to get this right. And I haven't decided which of those 3 girls' games I'm going to pick. Like, I may not drive to Seaford, but I may drive to Dover, which is probably not going to be a very popular decision, but got to be realistic about things. If not, then I know I'm probably going to end up going to probably either Archmere, Howard, or DMA St. Mark's, even though this will be the third time potentially I've seen St. Mark's this year and the second time I've seen DMA. But yeah, there's a lot to, I mean, again, and Saturday's even tougher because you've got Lake Forest boys coming up to play Archmere. Archmere's playing better than expected under Nick Santa. Archmere boys and St. E. Dover boys is at the same time, 12:30. Who scheduled these games, man? Who put these schedules together? But yeah, and also Padua does not play Dover. Padua plays Dover the next Saturday. So yeah, those two games are at the same time. And then of course, I still got to figure out what I'm going to do Thursday if I'm going to do a game Friday. It's going to be the toughest week I've had to schedule, this season. And it's going to be a busy week because, I'm potentially doing 5 games this week. So going to be interesting to see how this week pans out. But, very much looking forward to the rest of the season. We got a lot of basketball to look forward to. Very much looking forward to detailing it all for you as we've been able to do so far this season. And once again, anyone that's, seen me out in public, thank you for the kind words. Greatly appreciate your kindness, your feedback, your your encouragement, because sometimes every once in a while, somebody will try to knock you off your perch, but, coming down off the wall, to argue with midgets just doesn't make any sense. So I'm done doing that. But yeah, definitely want to thank y'all for all your great comments and feedback. Greatly appreciate it. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do whatever game I pick on Saturday. Definitely going to do a post game live after that. So that may take place at Holden Court next Sunday. I haven't decided yet, but just wanted to touch base with y'all, tell y'all what I've seen, tell you what I'm looking forward to, and feedback is always welcome if it's constructive and respectful. Because some people tend to get disrespectful, and there is a person behind that computer screen after the Instagram account, the Twitter feed, the Facebook feed, all of that. Just be mindful, because I think I've responded very professionally to any ridiculous criticism up until this point. I'm going to try to continue to be professional. But Michelle Obama, love her to death, but I think she did a disservice with, when they go low, we go high. Because sometimes you got to go low and let somebody know that you ain't the one or the two. That's basically it. But ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for watching this edition of Holden Court. Greatly appreciate y'all's time as always. All the contact information, the Twitter feed, the Instagram feed, the Facebook page, the website, the email address, and yes, the donation link. Still trying to raise some money to make this thing pop. If you want to, if you feel so moved, if you like what I do as a one-man band and want to help me, make this a little more financially solvent operation, there will be a donation link in the description below. Thank y'all for watching. As always, greatly appreciate your time. Y'all be safe. Y'all stay warm out there. And until the next time we talk and we see each other in the gym, y'all take care of yourselves and each other.